August 13th, 2026. Um, this is day number 3 or 4 of me trading this new way, and it's truly changing my life. I'll just say that right now. I'm only taking the first valid signal that manifests. I'm only trading between 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. And I'm only trading the stocks that I have planned for, which generally is only eight of them. It's only 8, not 9, not 7. It is 8 of them. Let's go into the strategy today. So here's our box that denotes the 9:30 to 11:30 time here, and we're going to start with Palantir. The first entry, which was a long entry because everything is going up here. We're looking for long positions, and the first realignment in momentum occurred right here at 9:34, and that was a loss. In NASDAQ, we had a signal at exactly 9:30, realignment of momentum. You can see that down, 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 down. Now it realigns to the upside. That was a win. In Tesla, entry was also at 9:30. So that can be very tricky. Sometimes you're only going to be able to capture one. Sometimes you can capture both. Depends how good you are. Depends how fast you are. Depends if you're prepared or not. This one was also a win right there at 9:30. Going over to Meta. Meta had an entry signal at 9:32, and that was a loss. The 1-to-1 never would have manifested from that entry candle there, and then we came back down to hit stop loss right here about an hour and a half later. That was a loss. Nvidia, first entry signal. This is controversial. There's the rule of you have to wait for the 15-minute to cross over. Okay, you got to wait for the 15-minute to cross over before taking a valid trade. So at this first entry right here, which is right here, which would have been a win, notice the 15 hadn't crossed over yet. It was close, and it was going with us, and that's nice. And we're looking for short trades because the 1 hour is in the red, so we're looking for short opportunities. So this would have been a win. But what am I saying? Why does that matter? Well, that would have been not waiting for the 15 to cross over yet. But it was beautiful. The MACD pulled all the way back into the green, into the opposite region, and then broke variance to the downside. It was a beautiful setup, right? But it wasn't the official setup. The official setup was here, which was a trade that I took, which was a loss. This was a loss. Now, this was a would-be full loss, but I exited early. I exited at break even so that it was a scratch trade. Why did I do that? Why did I decide to do that? Because at the very same time this was happening, this was at 10:52 that I entered that trade there. So at 10:52 here this is NASDAQ. On 10:52 here, what's happening? What do you see? Well, we're actually consolidating on VWAP right now at that same time. So because we were consolidating on VWAP on NASDAQ, look, 10:52 is right here. So I took a short in Nvidia right here, right? And I'm anticipating the NASDAQ, the market, to bounce off of VWAP and then make higher highs and literally move away from VWAP. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Not that that matters. I didn't even trade that. I'm saying we came down to VWAP. I entered a short in Nvidia, and I noticed that we were coming down to VWAP in the NASDAQ, and there's a high probability that we're going to consolidate and reject off of VWAP because it's a very common thing that occurs in the market. It's a strategy in itself. And I've done a video on that in the past where I use a 5-minute chart, and we look for bounces off of VWAP, which would have been right here. Would have been this candle. That's a green candle bouncing off of VWAP in the direction of this big move earlier. So that's an obvious no-brainer trade right there, to be honest with you, and perhaps in the future I will trade that. But anyway, in Nvidia, I exited this would-be full loss. I exited at a break-even because I saw what NASDAQ was doing at that same time with regards to VWAP. We already went over Meta. Meta was a loss. The first trade in SPY, slightly before the 9:30 window opened, so we call those valid. It was just slightly before. It was 10 minutes before that window. We had a realignment in momentum here. You can barely see it until you zoom in and really look at the histogram values to see if the momentum actually changed its asymmetry. And that was a win. And then Apple First trade, again, slightly before the market. This happened at 9:26. We had a realignment of momentum with a stronger trend. And finally, we had Amazon, which was a loss. So altogether, the totality of all of these would be Palantir down 1, Tesla up 1. So now we're even. Now we're up 1 on the day. Now we're back to even. And now we are down 1 because this was not technically a valid setup. So now we're down 1. Now we're back to even. Now we're up 1. And now we're back to even. Make sure I did that correctly. Palantir was down 1. That brings us to even. This puts us up 1. This brings us back to even. That puts us down 1. That puts us at even. That puts us up 1. And that puts us at even. It was an even day. It was a break-even day. That's what it was with regards to the strategy. And with all of that being said, I'll see you in the next one.